I bought a used camera, and the last photo on the memory card was this. The camera was an old Canon 7D Mark II, a beast of a DSLR camera with a hefty price tag to match. I'd been eyeing it for weeks at my local camera store, waiting for them to lower the price. And when they finally did, I snatched it up. The only catch was the memory card was full. The staff member said it must have been a mistake the last owner made. He didn't want to take the time to empty the card, so they left it in. I didn't think much of it. I emptied the card as soon as I got home, deleted all the photos and videos, formatted the card and put my own in its place. Then I got to work editing the first few rolls of film. It was going well. The camera took fantastic pictures and none of the photos were horrible. That is until I got to the last one. The photo was taken at an old abandoned water tower on the outskirts of town. It looked like your typical scenic overlook. That is until I zoomed in on the man standing next to the sign. He wasn't in any of the other photos and I didn't take any other photos after this one. In fact, according to the EXIF data, this was the very last photo taken on the camera before it was abandoned. The photo was dated 6 months prior to the day I bought the camera. I double-checked the date and sure enough, it had been sitting in that camera for half a year. I decided to do some more digging. According to the metadata, the image was shot in automatic mode. This wasn't surprising given the camera's age. The shutter speed was fast, the ISO low, the perfect conditions for a bright, clear photo. But the aperture was set to f/22? This meant one of two things. Either the EXIF data was wrong or the lens had been changed. But how could the lens have been changed without removing the camera from its protective case? The camera body even had protective stickers on the mount still intact. That ruled out the possibility of being changed, so the EXIF data must be wrong. But why would someone alter the EXIF data of a single photo? I thought about telling my friend, but then decided against it. I didn't want him to think I was crazy. Instead, I put the photo out of my mind and went to bed. I woke up the next morning feeling refreshed and ready to edit more photos. But the second I opened the application, the notification popped up. All the photos were corrupted. I thought maybe it was a bug. So I tried opening them in another program. But every time I tried, the same thing happened. The photos wouldn't open. At this point, I started to panic. I spent hundreds of dollars on this camera and now I couldn't even look at the pictures I took. Maybe I could get a refund if I could prove the camera was faulty. So I headed back to the camera store. It turns out refunds weren't the manager's strong suit. He tried to offer me a store credit, but after I told him I wanted my money back, he begrudgingly agreed. On my way home, I stopped by a camera repair shop. The guy behind the counter took one look at the camera and smiled. Turns out the memory card was corrupt, which was why the photos wouldn't open. He offered to fix it for a reasonable price, so I dropped it off and waited for a call. A few days later, my phone rang. It was the repair shop. He told me the camera was fixed and ready to be picked up. When I got there, he handed me the camera and asked if I wanted to see something funny. Before I could respond, he inserted the memory card into a computer and pulled up the last photo. The image was terrifying. It showed a pair of eyes staring directly at me. But these weren't just any eyes. They were the same eyes as the man from the previous photo. The repair shop looked at me awkwardly and asked, "You know, this might be a dumb question, but are you the only one who can see it?" I responded, "See what?" He explained that he couldn't see anything unusual about the photo. I thanked him for his help and left. On my way home, I called my friend. I told him about the photo and he laughed. He said it was probably just a coincidence. But as I walked, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I turned around, but there was no one there. That night, I decided to take the camera out with me. I wanted to capture the sunset over the lake. As I walked, I kept looking over my shoulder. Every time I saw a man with a camera, I flinched, then I stopped dead in my tracks. One of the men from the photo was walking towards me. I tried to ignore him, but he kept getting closer. I turned around and ran. I don't know how long I ran for, but eventually I stopped and turned around. The man was gone. I took a deep breath, trying to calm myself down. But that's when I noticed something strange. In my haste, I dropped my camera. The lens was facing up, revealing the last photo I took. I bent down to pick it up, and that's when I realized the photo hadn't been taken at the lake. It was taken at the exact spot where I'd been standing moments before. I quickly stood up. My heart was racing. As I ran, I could hear footsteps behind me. They were getting closer. I turned around and the man was right behind me. He had a crazed look on his face and he was holding a camera. I don't know how long I ran for, but eventually I made it home. I locked the door and hid under my blankets. I tried to make myself believe everything was fine, but I knew it wasn't. He knows I have the camera. How did he find me? Then I heard a knock at the door. I jumped out of bed to investigate, but it was just the wind. I sighed in relief, but it didn't last long. There was another knock, except this time it sounded like it was coming from inside my house. I slowly made my way towards the front door, each creak of the floorboard making me jump. Just as I reached the door, the knocking stopped. Then I heard a voice. It was the man from the photo. He said, "I just want to talk." I froze. What did he want to talk about? The camera? The photo? Then I remembered the camera. I took it with me everywhere. I never left it at home. I raced to my bag, ripped it open and pulled out the camera. It was missing. At that moment, I heard footsteps behind me. I turned around and there he was. He was smiling, a twisted grin that made my blood run cold. He asked, "Did you enjoy our little photo shoot today?" His voice was a raspy whisper. "You look beautiful in that dress." And that's when I realized it wasn't me he was talking about. It was the woman in the photo. She wasn't standing next to the water tower. She was hanging from it. Her dress flowed in the wind. Her arms spread wide as if she was embracing the world. Or maybe she was embracing death. The man stepped closer, his eyes gleaming with a disturbing light. "Do you want to see another picture?" he asked. Before I could respond, he pressed the shutter button. Click. The flash went off, momentarily blinding me. When I could see again, the man was gone, and in his place was a photo of me standing in my doorway. The twisted grin from before was now on my face. My scream echoed through the empty house. The last photo was dated 6 months ago. The photo of me was dated 1 hour ago. I was being hunted, and the hunter had become the hunted.